Okay folks, buckle up. Today on the Mysteria Archive, we delve into what some people believe to be the cause of all our problems. CERN. Get ready for a wild ride. What if the biggest machine on Earth accidentally rewrote history? No explosions, no warning. Just one day. The cereal box logo looks different. Your favourite movie quote never existed. Since CERN's Large Hadron Collider first powered up, people around the world have reported reality glitches, déjà vu, and strange inconsistencies in the past. Did we collectively forget, or did something much bigger happen? Could smashing particles near the speed of light have caused more than we bargained for? Something subtle, something strange. Did the LHC fracture time itself? Let's dive into the mystery of CERN, portals, and timeline splits. And if this is still the timeline where you clicked this video. Alright, so we're starting light, just a little casual timeline collapse. But seriously, there's something irresistibly spooky about the idea that reality itself might have been nudged sideways by a particle collider. It's like when your browser crashes, but instead of a website going down, it's history. And yes, while the science is solid, it doesn't stop people from connecting the dots with their own memories or glitches. I'm not saying I personally remember Looney Tunes being spelled differently, but I'm also not saying I don't either. Anyway, let's ground this thing before it floats into full tinfoil mode. Here's what CERN is actually doing and why it became the centre of the weirdest theory you've probably ever heard. What is CERN and the Large Hadron Collider? So, what is CERN exactly? Well, CERN is the European Organisation for Nuclear Research. It's based in Geneva, Switzerland, and it's kind of like the Nerd Avengers HQ for particle physics. It was founded in 1954 by 12 countries. Now it has 23 member states, and it's home to the Large Hadron Collider, or LHC, the world's most powerful particle accelerator. Imagine a 17-mile-long underground ring where protons are flung at each other at 99.99999% the speed of light. Why? Well, to recreate the conditions just moments after the Big Bang. In 2012, this is where the Higgs boson, sometimes called the God particle, was finally discovered. Big win for science. But with that kind of power, some people started to wonder, what else might the LHC be doing? In the run-up to its launch in 2008, there was public concern. Some of it tongue-in-cheek, but some generally fearful, that the LHC might create black holes, or tear open the fabric of reality. Spoiler, it didn't, but it did create a cultural ripple. Videos went viral, theories exploded, and let's not forget the statue of Shiva the Destroyer that greets visitors outside CERN's headquarters. It's meant to symbolize the cosmic dance of creation and destruction in Hinduism, but to internet sleuths, it added a nice pinch of ominous sci-fi energy. All this, the cutting-edge science, the doomsday memes, the mystical symbolism, created a perfect storm. The idea that it could open portals, split timelines, or, depending on who you ask, swap Berenstain for Berenstein. But before we go full Twilight Zone, let's zoom in on a very specific date, July the 4th, 2012. Because, after that moment, some people say reality started behaving strangely. So yeah, CERN, a place where scientists recreate the Big Bang, and the internet recreates the X-Files. And look, that Shiva statue, absolutely iconic. But if you're trying to convince people you aren't opening portals to alternate dimensions, maybe don't lean into that aesthetic of a cosmic destroyer god at the entrance. It's just a thought. Still, it's easy to see how the vibe took hold. You've got massive machines underground, invisible particles flying around at near light speed, and announcements about discovering new fundamental forces. Add a dash of TikTok, Reddit, and a public that already mistrusts big science. And boom, you've got a recipe for the most polite apocalypse theory ever. No explosions, no monsters. Just you wake up one day and Looney Tunes looks off. Let's take a closer look at the moment people think this all started going sideways. The moment everything changed. Let's rewind to September 10th, 2008, the day the Large Hadron Collider was powered on for the first time. There was excitement, awe, and yes, a lot of memes about tiny black holes eating the planet. But nothing happened, at least not visibly. Then came July the 4th, 2012. CERN made headlines again. This time, they'd done it. Scientists announced the discovery of the Higgs boson, a particle so foundational to our understanding of matter that it was nicknamed, seemingly jokingly, the God particle. But some people, they noticed something off. Not with the collider, not with the scientists, but with reality itself. Shortly after the second major activation, reports of Mandela effects began spiking online. People described things they knew they'd seen or heard differently in the past. TV lines, logos, even major world events. The catch? There was no record, no proof, just memories. Some theorists online began to float an idea. What if the energy released at CERN didn't destroy the world, but nudged it? What if on some imperceptible level, we slipped into a nearly identical but slightly altered version of reality? It wasn't a bang, it was a slide, like waking up in your own bed, but the wallpaper's just a little off. Stories began circulating. People vividly remembered an old building downtown that suddenly wasn't there anymore. A childhood book series that had its name magically changed. A historical event recalled with perfect clarity, but now it apparently never happened. Coincidence, collective misremembering, or something else? Now let's be clear, there's no scientific evidence that CERN broke the universe, but the idea that something shifted after these experiments, it caught fire. Because if our sense of reality is already fragile, how would we even know if it had changed? Okay, so you're telling me we might have slipped timelines, but nobody noticed because the cereal aisle looked mostly the same. That's exactly the kind of quiet apocalypse I'm not mentally prepared for. But seriously, this is where things get juicy, because when thousands of people all start remembering things that don't exist, it gets hard to just blame bad memory. And I don't know about you, but I'm still mad about the Monopoly man's missing monocle. I saw it, I remember it. I was emotionally attached to that monocle. Now, sure, correlation isn't causation. The LHC didn't necessarily trigger a cosmic Photoshop session. But the timeline shift theory is compelling precisely because it's so subtle. It doesn't shout, it whispers. Next up, we get into the Mandela effect and why people are remembering things that apparently never happened. The Mandela effect connection. So let's talk about the Mandela effect. It's named after Nelson Mandela, of course, because some people vividly remember him dying in prison during the 1980s. Funeral on TV, public mourning, the whole thing. Problem is, Nelson Mandela was released in 1990 and became president of South Africa in 1994 and passed away in 2013. This isn't just one person misremembering, it's thousands from different backgrounds, all swearing up and down they remember a different version of history. That's where author and researcher Fiona Broome stepped in. She coined the term Mandela effect to describe these strange shared memory discrepancies, and since then, the list has exploded. Do you remember Dolly, Jaws' girlfriend in Moonraker, with or without braces? Was C-3PO all gold, or did he have one silver leg? Or maybe you've walked into a room and just felt like something was wrong. Not dramatic, just subtly, cosmically off. So what's happening? Well, some scientists chalk it up to false memory. Our brains are incredibly good at filling in the blanks. Add a little groupthink and the power of internet forums and boom, you've got a phenomenon. Others take a very different view. They suggest these aren't errors, but echoes. Remnants of alternate timelines where things did happen differently, and some of us are just remembering the wrong version. Now, here's where CERN re-enters the story. Some believe that the energy released by the LHC caused a fold, or merge, or even a split in our collective reality. And what we're experiencing isn't a memory glitch, it's memory leakage. With the Mandela effect now exploding on platforms like TikTok, Reddit, and YouTube, it's clear that millions of people are at least entertaining the idea that something deeper is going on. And if enough people remember something that never existed, does that memory become its own kind of truth? Here's the thing. Now, whether it's memory fail, digital manipulation, or a legitimate wrinkle in the timeline, the Mandela effect hits something deep. It messes with your sense of certainty, like what else am I remembering wrong? Did I really watch Shazam with Sinbad? Don't answer that one. And the CERN connection. Honestly, it's like giving the internet a giant what-if button. A mysterious lab, invisible particles, a giant machine smashing realities, building blocks. Yeah, we're going to run wild with that one. Coming up next, portals, parallel worlds, and the wildest theories about what CERN might have opened, even if it didn't mean to. Hold on to your brain cells. Portals, parallel worlds, and theories. So, Here's where the story leaves the lab and walks straight into the sci-fi section. The Large Hadron Collider doesn't just smash particles, it opens doors. Metaphorically, of course, but some theorists, they wonder if that might not be just a metaphor. CERN has openly researched concepts like extra dimensions, dark matter, and even the formation of microscopic black holes. And while all of this is framed within solid peer-reviewed physics, some have taken it further. The popular theory? That CERN accidentally, or depending on who you ask, intentionally opened a portal. Not a Stargate-style vortex you could jump through in a hoodie, but something stranger, a bleed through between dimensions. Two timelines brushing up against each other, sharing data, memories, maybe even people. The idea isn't without its roots in science fiction and speculative physics. Terms like quantum entanglement, brain theory, and quantum tunneling are often cited, though usually by people who really enjoy using chalkboards. Even respected physicists like Michio Kaku have talked about multiverse theories, suggesting that our universe could just be one of many stacked in higher dimensions. CERN's own scientists have written papers about the possibility of detecting hidden dimensions through high-energy collisions. Add to that the eerie symbolism, like CERN's Shiva statue, often interpreted as the cosmic dancer of creation and destruction, and you've got a mystery tailor-made for modern myth-making. Some articles even reference the infamous CERN ritual video that surfaced in 2016, an obvious hoax, but one that sent the conspiracy forums into overdrive. So, what's really going on? Is the LHC just a scientific marvel we don't fully understand yet? Or is it an accidental key that's temporarily unlocked the backdoor of the simulation? Well, we don't know, but one thing is for sure. When the world's most powerful machine starts poking around the edges of space-time, people notice. Okay, if CERN did open a portal and the biggest consequence is the Berenstain Bears being spelled differently, I've got to say, that's the politest apocalypse imaginable. But really, this is where science and science fiction start doing the tango. You've got scientists using words like extra dimensions, and the internet hears welcome to Narnia. And I get it, if you show the public a 17-mile-long underground ring that might detect hidden dimensions, someone's going to yell portal. Also, that Shiva statue? Bold branding choice, guys, really. Now still, even if the portal thing sounds out there, the questions it raises are fascinating. Are there other versions of us, other timelines? And if they're brushing up against ours, how would we even know? Unless, of course, the other you is out there, wondering why you remember the Monopoly man with a monocle. Coming up next, what the actual scientists have to say about all of this. What science actually says. All right, deep breath. Let's come back to Earth just for a moment. Now, what does science, actual credentialized, safety vest-wearing science, have to say about all of this? In short, CERN is not opening portals, at least not the kind Reddit's talking about. The official position from CERN is clear. There's no evidence that the particle collisions at the LHC could cause timeline shifts, interdimensional rifts, or reality glitches. They've addressed the claims directly, sometimes with humor, sometimes with stern clarification. As for the Higgs boson discovery in 2012, groundbreaking, yes, but reality rewriting? Not even close. The Higgs simply helps explain how particles gain mass. It's a vital puzzle piece in the standard model of particle physics, not a reset button for the universe. And those mini black holes that show up in the headlines? If they did appear, and there's no confirmation that they ever have, they'd be microscopic and evaporate almost instantly due to Hawking radiation. CERN isn't hiding its work either. All the data from the LHC is published openly and reviewed by physicists around the world. Then there are thousands of researchers watching for anomalies. Not a single peer-reviewed paper has shown evidence of a dimensional tampering. So, if that's the case, why all the conspiracy theories? Part of it comes from misunderstandings of complex science. Add in a sprinkle of fear, a viral tweet or two, and suddenly a Higgs field turns into a timeline blender. But it's also because CERN sounds like magic to most people. It deals in forces and particles we can't see, using machines buried deep underground, operated by people with PhDs and slightly intimidating email signatures. To the public, it feels unknowable. And in that void, imagination thrives. The science is grounded, the safeguards are thorough, and no one's flipping the reality switch. Well, not on purpose, anyway. Look, if CERN had broken reality, I'm just saying, I'd want at least a cape or a glowing scar, something cool to go with the multiverse chaos. But in all seriousness, this section is important because it's easy to get swept up in the idea that scientists are tossing atoms around like glow sticks at a rave. But in reality, they are super cautious, like double-check the toaster's unplugged before leaving work kind of cautious. And the whole CERN made a black hole fear? Yeah. Those would be smaller than atoms and vanish in a fraction of a second. Not exactly Avengers-level threats. Still, I get why people speculate. When the average person hears quantum brain collision in a 17-mile tunnel, it does sound a bit like something that would come with a doomsday countdown. But hey, science and mystery aren't enemies, they're dance partners. Up next, why we love these theories so much in the first place. Why these theories persist. Let's be honest, why do theories like this stick around? Even with scientists reassuring us that no timelines were harmed in the making of the Higgs boson, millions of people still believe something changed. Why? Because sometimes the facts don't feel as real as the mystery. Reality glitches, déjà vu, false memories. They hit on something deep and weird in the human brain. And when things don't add up, we need a story to make sense of the cracks. Enter simulation theory, quantum multiverses, and, of course, CERN. Our minds are pattern-seeking machines. And when we notice inconsistencies, we look for causes. And when those causes involve enormous underground colliders smashing atoms faster than light, well, the plot writes itself. And there's another factor, the internet. Once upon a time, weird thoughts stayed in your head or got discussed over coffee. Now, you post them, and within 5 minutes, a Reddit thread with 30,000 upvotes is telling you you're not alone. And maybe, just maybe, you're onto something. Online communities like our Glitch in the Matrix, TikTok and YouTube have become an echo chamber for the anomaly. You see one Mandela effect video and suddenly your feed is full of alternate memories, reality glitches and evidence that we slid sideways sometime back in 2012. Psychologists have a name for this, confirmation bias. When we seek out and believe information that supports what we already suspect. It doesn't mean we're gullible, it just means we're human. And let's face it, big machines, quantum forces, cosmic mysteries, they feel otherworldly. Now, for most of us, particle physics is as close to magic as we'll ever get. So, when the strange feelings start creeping in, it makes sense to look toward the Large Hadron Collider and wonder, did they just maybe open a door they can't close? Part of me loves that the internet has basically become a collective therapy session for weird vibes. Like, hey, does anyone else remember a cartoon elephant that never existed? And suddenly 200 people are like, OMG, yes, elephant. It's wild. But this section hits on something real, how we all crave meaning. And when life feels off kilter, like it has for, I don't know, the entire last decade, we want answers. Even if those answers involve parallel dimensions, cosmic particles, smashers, and the occasional monocle missing Monopoly man. Also, let's be honest, it's way more fun to think CERN caused a timeline split than it is to admit we've all just been over-caffeinated since 2020. But hey, if our brains are glitching, at least we're glitching together, right? All right, let's bring it home. What really happened and what does it all say about us? So, did CERN really change reality? So here we are, 11 miles of mystery, a few billion particles later, and one massive question still floating in the air. Did CERN change reality? Scientifically speaking, no. There's no evidence that the Large Hadron Collider has caused timeline splits, opened portals, or glitched the matrix. Every high-energy collision, every Higgs boson detection, every data point has been analysed, peer-reviewed, and confirmed within the bounds of known physics. But here's the twist. Our experience of reality? That's not made of particles. It's made of perception. And perception is, well, it's messy. It's influenced by stress, suggestion, memory, the media we consume, and increasingly by algorithms that service the most interesting versions of the truth. So, maybe the real shift wasn't in the particles. Maybe it was in us. Since 2012, we've lived through global crises, digital overload, and constant blur between fact and fiction. Is it any wonder that our brains are struggling to feel certain? Some speculate that if a timeline did change, we wouldn't even notice because we'd be in it. We'd remember things just a little differently, with no way to prove it. And maybe that's the real power of this mystery. Not in what CERN did, but in what we've begun to question about our own reality. What if the world isn't glitching, but our trust in it is? So, did CERN change reality? Well, probably not. But it might have helped us realize just how fragile and fascinating our version of reality is. And if this is a timeline where you liked this video and subscribed, well, thank you. If not, well, maybe this is your glitch moment. Phew, okay, well, I feel like I need to lie down in a dark room and stare at a lava lamp for a while. But seriously, this ending hits where it counts, because it's not just about CERN or particles or black holes, it's about us. Our memories, our stories, our desire to make sense of the weirdness we all feel now and then. And honestly, whether or not we're in the original timeline, I kind of love that we even ask these questions. It shows that we're curious, that we don't just accept things at face value, that we're still willing to wonder. And if the cost of all that curiosity is a few mixed up cereal logos and misremembered movie lines, yeah, okay, I will take that deal. Now, let me know in the comments if you've ever experienced a glitch, or are we all just trying to remember the same dream? Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this one. And let me know in the comments below what videos you'd like to see next. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and all that good stuff. It's free, and it really helps out our small channel. Okay, friends, until next time, stay curious.